Hi everyone. In this short presentation, I will give you a short overview of the QFCRA's approach to supervisory master data management. Ideal supervisory intelligence has these five features. It's detailed enough to perform the analysis we want to perform. It's timely in terms of the events we want to observe. It's standardized to help users to understand the data well, and it's integrated so that the different data sources form a coherent whole. And ultimately, we want the properties to be measured in a way that the values are as accurate as possible. These same characteristics can be looked into in a flow like this. When we go granular in our data collection, the data tends to be closer to its format at the source, which typically makes it easier to start observing events nearer real time as well. And when the data is disaggregated like this, it tends to follow more profound standards, unlike more aggregated and bundled collections. And the high frequency from its part provides more touch points to see those entities and concepts of interest more clearly. And when those entities and concepts are cleanly carved out from the data, their properties are easier to measure. And firmly identified entities and concepts also make the different data sets more coherent and form a more integrated and complete whole for analysis. And the more we have these data sources that capture the same entities and concepts, the more we will gain certainty about the correct property values. But in practice, in regulatory data collections, it can be hard to achieve accuracy when the templates have only a limited number of common touch points. And this deficiency in data quality also makes it hard to get a grasp of the concepts and entities we capture. And it's hard to even get going with a granular collection of frequent data when the standards and definitions, the taxonomy, should be well known beforehand we even start the collection. And indeed, standardization is a process. The identity, how those entities and concepts that are going to be measured are identified and defined in the data is very central to these challenges. It's always desirable to deploy data standards and deploy them as close to the source as possible. But the identification or standardization is always an iterative process where we form hypotheses and then we observe and then we reiterate. It's therefore impossible to make a data taxonomy that would be fully future-proof and all-encompassing, because successful standardization requires existing experience in measuring the same concepts. At the same time, there will always be relevant sources of information that are outside of the supervisor's control. Sometimes some of the most impactful insights can come through those channels where we are schema-takers rather than schema-setters. An example could be management information from the firms. But the supervisors, analysts, economists, and regulators, central banks have always been able to still use this information alongside the regulatory data by using their judgment in combining it together. What we are proposing here is that we should not attempt to physically clean, standardize, and integrate all information sources together because it's just simply not feasible. It's too difficult and there's too much of it. But very importantly, we shouldn't ignore those that we can't either. Many of us aspire to perform real-time supervision, but that will require quickly making the best out of all data that is available, whether structured or unstructured, standardized or more idiosyncratic, curated by someone or messy, English or in any other language. The transformation can be enabled by a machine that replaces that expert judgment in identifying entities and concepts and combining then datasets together. In comparison to the traditional means in doing this, the volume and quality of insights can both be improved, as the system can consider so much higher volume of references to entities and concepts and their properties and relationships than a human beings ever can. But the humans are still in the loop. They will be asked for advice when particularly hard decisions have to be made, or in cases when the supervisory importance of this decision is specifically high. Our supervisory master data management system is based on a graph database that is populated by automated entity and relationship extraction and resolution, automated knowledge generation using link prediction, the human in the loop, and active learning in choosing the questions to be asked from the experts. It connects regulatory returns with public financial and market data, regulatory texts, and any written reports such as firms, MI, supervisory assessments reports, or external articles in media. It leverages also publicly available knowledge bases, ontologies, and standards, including Wikidata, the LEI database, and standards on things such as industrial classification. The key features of the system are that, first of all, it tries to be as rule-free as possible. We try to avoid rule-based operation where we can. The system must be agnostic on the incoming dataset schema. It should be able to adapt to new context, situations, learn about new entities, concepts by itself. It should be able to come up with an idea of relevance of concepts and entities automatically by just looking into the connections between those concepts that are known to matter to our supervisors. While it needs to be able to grow autonomously, it also needs to be pruned when needed to ensure that we only capture and maintain information that has continuous supervisory importance. And it's based on this human in the loop, the collaborative data stewardship, where everyone contributes to the management of the data asset. And this way, we believe we can complement the standardized regulatory data collection with something that follows the natural flow from granularity, frequency, all the way to accuracy, providing supervisory insight that is timely and comprehensive. Thank you.